welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is El Hijo, a Wild West Tale. I think I pronounced that right. No one here speaks Spanish all that good. Had a few semesters of it. Can't remember shit. But anyway, so El Hijo is a third-person isometric stealth game, which is perhaps a specific combination of words, but it's nonetheless true. Anyway, the Wild West tale that is presented is you are the son who has to flee a monastery and save his mother from banditos. And yeah, that's the basic plot line there. It's not a complicated game in terms of its story. And it's not really something you'd be playing for the story. That being said, it presents itself fairly well. It's a dialogue-free game, so it's all through pantomime and, things of that nature. But anyway, getting to the meat of the gameplay, this is a stealth game. It bills itself as a non-violent stealth game. I'm not sure if that's 100% true.
By non-violent, they mean you don't have a gun.
Right. But it's like, just because you don't have a gun doesn't mean that violence doesn't happen. It's like when you get caught, at least at the beginning, you're dealing with monks, presumably you'll just be sent back to your room. When you're dealing with the bandits, it's like, I'm going to say that the implication is going to be a bit more unpleasant. Now, that being said, it's like you don't have to worry about any sort of hard weaponry from your title character. Like, the most he gets is a slingshot. And in terms of stealth, how do I put this? It's there, and it's on the lighter side of things. Like, if you're expecting, say, Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell, it's not that deep.
And this doesn't look like the kind of isometric angle that's total ass, because you can't see what you're hiding from if it's, like, behind something on the right angle.
Yeah. No, vision, it wasn't an issue. Also, you don't have to worry about dimensionality. Like, there are some that try to do the, depth in 2D, like, guard towers and the like.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, like, there are towers here, but those are what, you can climb those. You're really not going to encounter anyone up, it's like you don't have to worry about sentries on the mountainside seeing you. It's not that deep, for lack of a better term, even though this is a 2D game. That being said, it's not a completely simplistic take on stealth as well. Like, you do have to deal with sound. It's like running will trigger enemies. Moving things will trigger enemies. And they have 2 levels of notation: caution and discovery. That kind of thing. And in terms of when you're discovered, you do have a chance to escape. How well that works out actually depends on the level. Because there are nighttime levels and there are daytime levels. Or, levels that are that take place inside in very shadowy areas. And thus, this game does suffer that classical stealth problem in the nighttime / shadow levels of the AI can be exploited. Like, you just cross the way and the AI will see you, chase after you, but you get back into the shadows, they'll go about 2 feet and just lose interest. Like, it's a thing that's plagued stealth games for a long time. Daytime levels are definitely more dangerous because you don't have that. You don't have anywhere to go in terms of the shadows. And of course, the eye range is much more robust to the game's detriment, quite honestly, because oftentimes you'll be discovered when you really shouldn't have been discovered. Like, and really, that gets to my issue with my big issue with this game. At best, it's a solid execution of stealth tropes. At worst, it's fairly unpolished. Like I never got used to how El Hijo moved in this game, because he moves a lot heavier than you would think for a little kid. Now, and a lot of hanging on objects, architecture, um, uh, and things of that nature. It's like, and got to be really specific with the button presses. Oftentimes, I pressed the button and it didn't respond. Like, there's just a veneer of unpolish on this game that plagues it a bit. Like, but it's nothing deal breaking. Now, in terms of items to aid you in your stealthy escapades, you'll get some permanent power ups. Like, at first, all you can do is throw rocks, and not very well. I'll be honest, this game got better once some upgrades came in. Like, when I could actually aim the rocks at a good distance, and especially when you get the loafers, sandals, footwear that allows you to actually fucking run. Because before that, your fucking run lasts about 2 fucking seconds, and you're drained for about like 5. Like, it's a long time to be drained. Like, I'll be honest, it's pretty much fucking useless until you get the upgrade, and infuriating as well. Once that shit gets established, it's a much better game. You will also get distraction items, like toy soldiers, which will lure enemies away from guard posts. Spory cacti, which will blind enemies. Fireworks, which will obviously, really, distract groups of enemies. Like, trying to remember what the fourth one was. Doesn't matter. The point is, you use these things, and they're of limited supply. Though you're not you don't have to use them, because, well, here's the thing. Outside of like very specific circumstances, like when you just we just got the item, and thus you will be sure to have the item. They couldn't really require these, because you can only carry 3 of an item at once, and there might be periods where you don't have the item, and thus, if you don't have the item, and you couldn't pass, then it's a soft lock. Elements of game design. Like, let's see. Tournament's overall graphics, solid enough. I do like the Wild West aesthetic. Fairly unique, especially in this genre. Like, I can't really think of another cowboy game. I know it's not an actual cowboy game, but like something that takes place in the Wild West that's this stealth focused. Like, it probably exists, it's just not coming to mind. when, like, honestly, Wild West games in general are fairly rare. Like, and it's not all stealth against the bad guys. Every so often with the levels, they will change things up. Like, there is a level where your main enemy is the wind. It's one of those you got to find shelter or else the wind will blow you away. It's another common video game trope level, but it does break up things in the game. And also, in terms of a collectible, such as it is, your extra bonus missions are finding other children and inspiring them. It's a bit weird. It's like you're not trying to rescue other children, you're just trying to pump up their spirits a bit. It's like, even though that they are slaves who are being forced to, like, wash the dishes or sweep the floor. It's like other such things, or they are trapped in cages. This happens. Like, I'm not exactly sure how a caged kid can be that inspired. Or they're mining rock, and once you do the animation for that particular kid, they're a lot more cheery. It's a bit tone deaf, if I'm being honest. Like, but I suppose escaping with the other children wasn't practical in terms of what they built in with actual gameplay. So that's about the best you get. Admittedly, didn't finish the game. How long it'll take depends on, I'd say, how blind you go into it. I got about level 20, I think. And I was about 12 hours in. Like, obviously, if you're going for the kids, that'll take more time. The levels themselves can be fairly short, though they do get much longer as you go through the game. Like, unsurprising. But, like, if you know what you're doing, they're going to be a lot shorter. Like, I've seen runs that go about 2 hours. But that's the thing. I'm presuming that those people actually know where everything is and how to do all the things. So, there's a fair amount of content here. If you want to run through it again, I don't really see that happening. This really does feel like a one and done. Because there's, like, unless you're just breezing through and not getting the kids, there's no real replay value here. There's no multiplayer mode. There's no other modes except for the one single player mode. Not bad or anything, but it is a limiting factor. Let's see, in terms of the music, surprisingly minimalistic, or maybe not so surprising because this is a stealth game. Just, it was there, but it's not all that memorable for something that bills itself as a spaghetti western. Like, surprising there. Let's see, pricing. So the game will clock in at $20, which is, a fair amount for this kind of game at this level. I can't really object. As a game, yeah, like, it's solid enough. Like, it wasn't amazing or mind-blowing, but, I can't say it got the fundamentals wrong. It just really, it felt like it needed a bit more time in the oven to make it better. Like, that being said, you can't really go wrong with it. And it is available for pretty much every major platform. I guess except for mobile currently, though I wouldn't rule out a mobile release of this. And yeah, I'd say it's a solid game. 6 out of 10 on the arbitrary scale of arbitration kind of deal. And yeah, like that's about it. Any questions, comments, or concerns over El Hijo?
I think I'm good.
Not really.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. All right. So that'll about do it for a Wild West tale. Be sure to tune in after the break as the Galax will be reviewing Golf Zero.